Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today with episode 188 of the H.A.M Radio Podcast.
And it's me, Karak with ACG.
Yes, Karak, the man of many podcasts. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, no shit, right? I'm doing good, but we got done with a 3-hour podcast, and I realized I had drank 4 liters of pop.
Holy shit.
I got off the podcast, jumped into the Discord, and was like, oh, I'm going to chat with people. And I sat here talking to them, and I'm like, why can I not keep a conversation? And it dawned on me I was in utter pain. I had, done that thing when you're on a long drive. I was all, I'll just ignore the pain from fucking 4 liters going through my liver. But yeah, a lot of podcasts.
Always good stuff. Do you urinate at least? That's important.
Yeah, I once I realized what was up, I was like, oh shit. I went running right away. I was like, guys, I gotta go. There's gonna be body damage if I don't speed this up.
That's why, while we record these shows, I have this one glass of water that I baby my way through, because there have been some shows that I'm thirsty and I drink the whole thing by like minute 30, and then I'm sitting there for the last hour. I'm just like, I gotta fucking go.
Or your mouth gets like if you're talking about something heated, your mouth gets dry.
Yeah.
And then you're like, and everything starts scraping. Yeah, it's nasty.
Fuck. The complications of our line of work, I swear to God.
It's difficult. People should applaud us. It's like a survival game for us. It's,
for real.
Right?
My water bar was low.
Food. Yeah, and it's like we could have died. It's that serious, but we're here for you.
I got a little jar of cashews here. It'll be enough to get me through the show probably. So
little protein.
Anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed this upcoming episode. We have a lot of exciting stuff to talk about. I actually have room on my brand new desk. I swear I'm gonna kill people with how much I talk about it, but like beforehand, my space was so condensed, so the mic would be sitting on my notebook. And it's just a little quality of life change like that, where I have room to write the timestamp now on my notebook for you guys later. That makes life so much better. Anyway, as always, if you guys want to flick a buck at the patreon.com/Mr. Matty Plays. Yes,
I gotta do a rap or something, actually. I gotta figure out or we should have a little jingle. I'll hire one of our patrons. We'll sing a little jingle for us, and you can click it like a sound effect and be like, flick a buck.
We should get... We should create like a choir that goes on for 5 seconds.
We do.
You know, just record each of them saying "flick-a-buck" in various pitches. So flick-a-buck, flick-a-buck.
This actually is a really good idea. Like, I'm laughing, and then it dawned on me. I'm like, no, that actually we could probably pull that off.
Yeah, for those who aren't watching the video part, Karak laughed, and his face just instantly went to business mode. He's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, man, that might be a perfect plan.
Anyway, if you do flick a buck, you can get early access to this show on Fridays. Right as soon as the show is done, I go straight to SoundCloud. I upload it. I put it on the Patreon. I send you a link with the timestamps, and you guys can listen right away and do it on the go or while you're doing something else. It's great. You also get access to the Discord. You get a look at the Patreon exclusive videos. I actually am posting one. Once this podcast is live, you will see my brand new setup that I have in my room now that I've organized everything, and it's so much better. I love it. I actually have 2 monitors right now. Like, things are great. And yeah, so you get all that cool stuff now if you go to support the Patreon. And don't forget Karak's Patreon. He makes great reviews because you guys are there to constantly support him. So thank you all for sending the love our way. And now let's get into our first topic this week, which was, a mostly Anthem-dominated week, but we don't have any Anthem because personally I talk about it on the channel a ton. And I think more conversation will start to develop after folks have played the open demo for an entire weekend. So what we're going to focus on for our headliner is actually the exclusives and how we see another title going to Epic Game Store, and that one being Metro Exodus, which is a highly anticipated title. Probably outside of that very busy day, February 15th, I'd say arguably one of the most exciting ones for most folks is Metro. Now, for PC users, if you did not pre-order it on Steam already, you have to go to the Epic Game Store. What's been interesting is the conversation afterwards, as we've seen THQ Nordic comment on it, and we've seen Deep Silver comment on it, and some of those comments are polarizing to one another, and it makes you wonder how much of a chain of command was made for this decision, because I think, was it Deep Silver who said that their sister company made the decision, and they really didn't have a part in it?
Yeah. It was like in Koch Media or whatever they're called, Koch Media or whatever. Yeah, it's also just the way it was done. It was just, whether you like or dislike the exclusives, the timing of it was bad. It was just really bad PR lately. Even Ubisoft's fucking stupid email they sent yesterday, where they made the horrendous.
I saw that. I saw the picture. I was like, "That's a meme. That was real.
Yeah.
That was real."
No, it was real. And you know what I was saying is, I was saying, just don't apologize. Be like, okay, it was a bad joke. But like when you turn around and say, oh, you know, it's like bad PR has just continued. And the stuff with Metro, it's just like hearing them back and forth talking. If I were them, I would have put one PR statement together and just say, this is all we're saying. Boom, everybody agrees. You just move forward. But yeah, it was bad planning.
Makes it look like, based off that conversation, that it seemed that Sister Studio made a decision, not a discussion, and then the discussion between companies ensued afterwards, and now we have multiple statements instead of, hey, we're making this decision, let's make a statement together, prepare the PR statement, and that's it. Because it seems like even the companies who were a part of this decision are sitting there, oh wow. Do you think 4A Games had a say in this?
I don't know.
It doesn't sound like they did.
It doesn't sound like they did. Like, that's why I was like, maybe just do one and shut the fuck up. Because when they're all like, the more they say different things, the more it feels like they didn't talk, or there was some really like stupid decision made, and somebody just found out. They were sort of surprised by it. I do not know. I just know that it was obviously. I don't think anybody in PR would have thought this was the best plan. You know what? It feels like it got done, and people just sort of were like, "Oh shit, we gotta just announce it as quick as possible." Blah blah blah. You heard that now they're putting they've got the Epic code in the PC games. So if you get a version, you get the Epic code. Well, a lot of people either don't have Epic storefront and they want their Steam code, which is what they bought. So you're gonna have people at stores going, "Hey, I bought this." And there's an Epic code in here. That's not what I bought. I bought a Steam code.
Yeah.
So
once I saw this happen, I instantly thought this PC launch is going to be so bad.
Yeah.
I will be shocked if this goes smoothly. But to have a gigantic storefront change 2 weeks before launch and trying to accommodate for prior pre-orders and not saying, hey, we have to move those sales, I cannot see that working out well. I cannot imagine, because I don't feel like we've ever really seen this before, because Epic Game Store is the only one who's ever started this exclusivity thing on PC, I feel.
Yeah, and Steam, if Steam made a comment, you know it must be a big deal, because Steam has a comment on their page that states, "We do not feel this is fair." And I saw some people say, oh, they're pretending to be hurt or whatever. It doesn't really matter. What they said was true. Like, it isn't really fair to the people who got it. And it's bad. It's just not
I sit in the ballpark that Steam should respond with not exclusivity of their own, but improving where they can and showing.
Yeah.
Because what would be the worst case scenario, I feel, is if Steam starts buying out games and saying, okay, you're not going to Epic. That would suck.
Right. That would suck beyond all belief. I hate it even when, like, Ubisoft does just Uplay. Like, I definitely agree that would suck if they did that. They should raise the developer amount, match Epic's. Epic matched Steam's regional costs now. They just did that today, where regional prices are now fixed. They're matching Steam, but Steam so far isn't matching them.
Yeah, because a lot of people were saying, I'm not going to Epic to get Metro because of the regional. That was I think the top rated comment on my video about it. They were like, I'm not going because of the regional prices. So if that's been adjusted, I wonder what stops folks. Is it just another launcher at that point? Because what's happening is we're seeing Epic quickly eliminate on that checklist anything that's marked against them. You know, clearly Steam's had so much more time to develop with mods and reviews and forums and all that stuff, where it's a much more feature complete system, and I think Epic has a long way to go to get their place.
Very long. Yeah.
But over time they're going to check it off, and instead of Steam responding, in my opinion, going, well, it's not fair, it's not. But as a business with millions of dollars, you have the power to actually do something about it. And that's the difference right there, in my opinion. It's like, yeah, we can all sit here and bitch. The consumer, all we can do is bitch. But it's up to Steam, who's saying, well, it's unfair. It's like, well, put your money where your mouth is. Show us that there's a way to change that. And I think, increasing the developer revenue split is the first step, because that's a big reason we saw in the Metro write-up. Literally, one of the first things they mentioned was it was a very attractive offer, having that additional revenue. I imagine that Epic's also paying them on top of that, just for it to be an exclusive partnership and that they can't go anywhere. Maybe not as much as, for example, a Division 2, which is like, it doesn't matter if you pre-ordered on Steam or something like that. I don't think that's a carryover thing. It seems like Metro is very much we'll accommodate the Steam side, but we want from the future onwards Metro to be exclusive. I see, because we were talking about how the game went gold. It's been done for a while. I wonder if there's almost a lack of confidence in the product where they're trying to make as much money up front as they can before the game launches. Do you feel the same way?
I don't know. I actually think it might not be about Metro, Maddie. It might just be about Epic. Do you see what I'm saying? So it may not be about their confidence. It may be that, like you said, Epic made them a deal. So Tencent gave them $300 million. And then they have the Fortnite money. And so I personally feel that, like, most likely it's all on Epic's side. Epic made a deal. That's what happened with Ashen. Now that I've talked to people, it's like they made a deal that was so attractive that they were willing to face the bad PR, so that must be a shit ton of money. Like, yeah, dude. True, and I bet you it's just like what happened with Obsidian with Fallout 3, where it's like if it hits a certain review number, they get a bonus. I bet you... I don't know if there's a review bonus thing, but I would not doubt if Epic said, if you do go with us, we will give you a bonus. Like, not even connected to the reviews, just say, like you said, pay them and call it whatever, signing bonus, right? Like an NFL superstar. It's like, Seriously. You get this, but here's $2 million for signing with us. That, to me, seems like completely a legitimate excuse for why all this happened. The thing that does worry me is that, so all of this is done. I don't see Steam, and I don't want them to do exclusives, but if they don't, I do not think they can make Steam attractive enough to stop a company who's looking for money from going with Epic. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So, like, they can fix all their shit, and I still think if Epic's going to fork out a good amount of money, like a developer's price for an entire year where that developer won't be fired because the company won't have money, but instead... 3 or 4 developers can keep their jobs, then those companies would just continue to go. It feels like they'll continue to go with Epic.
Well, it's also Metro, while highly anticipated, I feel, this year. How attractive is it enough to be a multi-million copy seller, right? And so that's what I think of, because it had to have done well enough to justify from 2033 to Last Light to now Exodus. Something had to have happened there. And maybe they're looking to make Metro, like, looks like kind of their big leap, right? Into trying to make Metro like a staple name that everyone's got to know about. And so my thought was, it went gold so early. They probably started working on DLC already instantly. And imagine if with this extra money from the deal, that could go in partially into the game as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure.
My whole stance on it, that not everyone agreed with, but a lot saw reason with, is I want to wait and see with both the Division as well as Metro, play them, wait and see after launch how they're supported, and if, let's say, there's a bug, how quickly the patch process is for that, because there's extra money in the door now. That's a fact, through sales as well as through this deal. So I don't feel like that should hold anything back, where if things are more instantaneous with the games on the Epic Game Store, will that change some opinions? Because we're seeing
Here's
a better
the big
product.
problem. Here's the big problem, though, Maddie. What if in a year you have Steam releasing Metro, because they said in 1 year it'll be non-exclusive. What if they're not getting patches as quick on Steam? Or I saw some people saying, what if we're treated like second-class citizens? Now, that's a question that could be asked of Discord with their games. It could be asked of anything. But I did go to Game of Sutra. A guy there, a developer, wrote down what it's like to release on all these platforms, behind the scenes, the programming required. Wow. Epic's is easier. So that is definitely a plus. Less time is, less money spent and more money goes into the game. So that's what I'm wondering is, like, what in a year will we see fully patched up Metro, and then from then on, patches, will they come day and date on all like on all platforms? Because remember, PS4 and Xbox don't even always go day and date. People don't realize the consoles actually have patches come out sometimes for one before the other. That happens actually a lot of times, where you get like the Xbox. Right. Yeah, the Xbox will come early. So to me, holy shit, dude, I don't want that repeated on your PC platform. Like, that would be disastrous if you had people having different, and then what if it's a multiplayer game later? And you now have people with different patches. Ugh,
like the Division.
It just sucks. Yeah, yeah. And I think Ubisoft has done fairly well with any of theirs. I think most companies have done fairly well. But Epic, it seems like they would be okay with saying, no, we want the patch first, or like, that's a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to play a multiplayer game. I don't know one, but Division or something like that. But I don't want to play a multiplayer game and have you waiting on me. We're gonna do a stream, and it's like, oh, I have this version. It's not patched up, like compared to yours, and we can't join up.
For a lot of online games, they don't let you on until you've patched the title.
Exactly.
Entirely. So what if you got people playing for 5 hours while you're waiting for your platform to release their patch? What I'm noticing is a lot of these console issues that have become normalized are now moving into the PC market, I feel.
Very much so.
Exclusivity, different patch times, that stuff's starting to creep into the PC market because you have a company like Epic, creator of Fortnite, who's just flicking cash everywhere, and companies change at the sign of money. I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, if down the line this year, Metro's not the last game we're going to see this year that stays exclusive on Epic. We're gonna see plenty. We
are, and then EA already does it on the Xbox with EA Access, so they already have just that platform. And it does offer an incentive for the console, but I don't think it offers an incentive for a gamer on a PC like it does. There's a difference there.
What's strange about the EA thing is I remember reading an article about it from Sony's perspective, and the reason they chose not to add EA Access to PlayStation was because Sony decided we don't think it's good value for gamers. And I thought that was one of the dumbest things ever that you could say.
That might be the dumbest sentence I've heard. Yeah, that might be as dumb as Ubisoft rolling back the stupid comment. Yeah, that's pretty fucking dumb to say.
Bro, because I saw that and I was like, dude, really? Like, why is it up to them to decide? And I don't know what logic behind it. Does it take money away from PS Plus? Like, I don't know. Like, I was just trying to think of a logical reasoning behind it, but I couldn't find any.
I don't even know if that. I mean, the only thing I could think of is that maybe I do know. I think I might have told you this last week. I can't remember. Yes, I did. We talked about free to play and stuff. So the company who does World of Tanks and stuff, they did a really cool GDC, and one of the things they did discuss is that different platforms have different OS requirements, and people like Microsoft has to look at everything you do if you want your free to play game having a sign-in, let's say. So if your sign-in goes to Microsoft, they got to make sure somebody can't sneak in, all that crazy shit. Maybe Sony thought there was too much money in the back end for EA, as in they had to hire people, because remember back then when that decision might have been made, they weren't as big about PS Plus and PSN as they are now.
True that.
Because they were just like, they weren't worrying about fucking anything Microsoft was doing, and now they're like, oh shit, we got to make some of the games downloadable. If you do rentals, we got to do this. So maybe that decision, maybe in a while, will be reversed too. I don't know.
Yeah, speaking of Sony and PS Plus, because this was the last month that they were doing PS3 and PS Vita games for the PS Plus program. And
free or at all? Will you not be able to get them?
At all, unless you not only add them to your library, but you download them. That's when you keep them. And so they announced this, I think, last year. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And now it's going into effect. And they had the most pitiful final games on the Vita and PS3 outside of Metal Gear Solid 4. But there was no ceremonious send off, for the people who bought in early to PS Plus, which was originally, like you said, not a big deal. Sony didn't talk about it as much. Now it's such a big part of what they do.
Yeah.
And they had the weakest send off for both those.
So they didn't say here's 6 games instead of 2 or anything. They did
or here's for example, the Vita. It's a dead system. Send it off on its final
amazing
PS Plus with a great game. Here's Persona 4 Golden. Here's Killzone Mercenary, or here's Uncharted Golden Abyss. Send it off with a quality title, right? That's what my thought process was. I get that there's money behind it, and for what PS4 got, which was, I think, For Honor and, oh my god, what was the other one? It was a really good month. It was For Honor and something else that's not coming to mind. But for the PS3 and Vita side, it was incredibly weak for a send-off. And you mentioning that just reminded me. Well, we'll see down the line how Epic's offers pan out for the game itself. But for now, we move on to Kingdom Hearts 3 and a short PSA about Ace Combat. Karak, I'll let you get started with your short PSA about Ace Combat. You played some of the PC version, yes?
Yeah.
Let's hear about it.
First, I got to ask you about your helmet back there, behind you. Can you show me that?
Yes, indeed.
So this is the collector's edition?
This
helmet?
is actually a really cool story. A viewer had contacted me. He used to cosplay for the Brotherhood Outcast. He's like,
Oh,
don't
okay.
do it anymore. Do you want this? I was like, dude, I can't take it off your hands. And he sent me a picture. I was like,
I can.
Maybe I can.
Yes, I can.
I'm like, dude, look, I said, are you sure? Because like this is all handmade, by the way. This
Yeah,
is all
you can
handmade.
tell.
Like you can even see on the inside, like the foaming and stuff, and the tubes here, all handmade. I was like, bro, I cannot, in good conscience, take this from you. He's like, it's fine. Like I'm not doing it anymore, and I feel better if you've had it. I was like, okay. And so yeah, he sent it to me. Actually, if you put batteries in here, he did something. It's right here. You can see there's a battery thing, and this light would turn on.
Damn.
Pretty cool. Yeah, like a full on.
Yeah, I know, that's awesome.
Full on cosplay.
That makes me feel better because I was like, if that's a collector's edition item from a game, that's the most amazing. Because I could tell it was full size by looking at it on your desk. I was like, what the fuck, man? That's the best. That's the best. So yeah, real quick. So the PSA for just Ace Combat 7 is don't get it on the PC. The mouse doesn't work for reasons unknown. Joysticks don't work. 4K resolution is fucked up. It also switches your monitors around. It does all this crazy shit. It's just a terrible port. And this is coming from somebody who thought Ace Combat 7 was fucking primo. And
Yes.
I was sitting here going, oh man, PSVR's got it exclusive. They've got VR exclusive, blah, blah, blah. And I was worried about that, not thinking they would not make the fucking mouse work. And it's all driven by a gamepad. You can't use the mouse. It's fucking ridiculous, man. And there's some people trying to work out some fixes for it, but that doesn't really matter. It's not on them to do. That's a terrible port. It's terrible. Like, it's your main way of controlling your fucking system is your mouse and keyboard. The ability to fucking release something and be like, yeah, we want you to pay full price. And it's getting destroyed in reviews. I mean, it's like, it's not mostly negative. It's like just, because people have some really expensive, I mean, obviously you're going to have an expensive joystick, right? If you're a PC gamer and you're big into, let's say, flight games, some of these people have like $150 to $300 setups. I know somebody who bought foot pedals where you can control the yaw and stuff with foot pedals. None of it works. It's just, I don't think I have to say it, but it's unacceptable. And I think Bandai does some good stuff at times, but they have in the past shortchanged their ports, and this is one of them. It's just, it's not acceptable. So I was just telling people, I even changed the name, which I rarely do. I went back and changed the name on the review. I fucking made sure there were comments going like console version review, fucking console. I put it in a bunch of places. I was like, do not get the PC version because I don't want anybody making a mistake between the two. The PC versions or the PS4 version and Xbox versions are great, but yeah, just stay away from the PC version.
It's
terrible port.
It's interesting because we always talk about PC ports getting shortchanged, coming out in this weird fashion. It's like, how could you even release this unplayable? I always think of the Marvel Ultimate Alliance one from Activision that was I think $60 and it was hardly playable. And I remember
hardly playable, Matt.
Yeah.
Oh, barely worked. So
bad, and especially for like a game that I love to death.
Yep.
And I wonder why in that case sometimes we see exclusives trying to control the PC market. Like people are investing money in a market that struggles to get good ports. Like for all we know, Epic could be buying into a shitty Division 2 PC port. They could be buying into a shitty Metro Exodus PC port. Obviously, they want to grow their launcher. It benefits them. I get the business decision behind it. But it's more so just the thought process that it seems like these games, we don't know the ports are really bad until they're finally here. And it's already too late. People have bought them.
This is why I'm always saying, even I've said it in your podcast notes on YouTube, and I've said it on mine for sure, that don't ever assume the number of people who will see me review a console game and go, PC, I'll wait for the PC port because it'll definitely be better. And I'll be all, dude, the number, Neo, a great game on the martial arts Dark Souls game. Right, Neo, right?
Oh, yeah.
That game had
my
fucked
head was
up
in, I gotta tell you where my head was at. I was thinking
Near Automata also.
I was thinking of Enter the Matrix, Path of Neo.
Oh,
You're like, Neo.
gotcha.
I'm like, yo, how? He's calling out like
You're
a
a-
fucking awesome game.
Whoa, Karak's got some serious fucking knowledge. No, Nier Automata had it, Neo had it, and those are big companies, and they fucked up. I mean, Nier has only, I think, now got one single patch on PC, and it's got actual legitimate issues, and still hasn't got a patch. So it's like, don't immediately assume. Yeah, don't assume your PC version is gonna. For example, people will be like, oh, it's definitely going to run at 60 FPS. We've seen other games that have come where they don't do that. Oh, it's going to have mouse and keyboard. We've seen multiple games now not do the controls right. So don't immediately assume whatever it's coming on is magically going to be better, because there is absolutely no guarantee. And these are big companies. Bandai's not a small company. Capcom's not small, even though Resident Evil is amazing. But these companies, there's no guarantee. Square is huge. I mean, come on. They're massive, and they did Nier, and they fucked it up.
Yeah.
They fucked up that port. So just a warning to people to fucking not buy it right now.
It blows my mind sometimes, though. Like, I guess it's deadlines, because I put myself in a developer shoes.
Right.
I think like I'm a level designer. I'm a programmer. How'd they feel when they know the work's not done? But like, for example, the publisher's coming in. It's like, this is the day. It's going out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's it. And there's nothing we can do about it.
And mouse support. Imagine being a developer and you're like, I'm using a fucking mouse to develop my game. Like, of course we're gonna have mouse support, and they're like, we don't have enough time. You're just like, really? And what I hate is when they say we'll patch it, because I'm like, wait, if it's patchable, if it's that easy, that basic and patchable, that game should have never come out. It makes absolutely no sense unless you patched it right away. Said, okay, here's the game, here's a patch, day one patch. Because I hate day one patches. We talked about this prior to the video. We hate day one patches because it might change the review. You might have to go back. But I would much rather have a day one patch than right now what's going on. And I'm sure most of the developers do.
There's also so many games that I've reviewed now that hide microtransactions and then patch them in.
There's been a lot.
The review.
Yeah.
Ubisoft, worst offender that in their company I like. But they've done that before, where I can't check prices on the microtransaction store and see how much they're charging for shit, because they want to wait till we're done reviewing it to activate that.
Yep.
And so I hope they don't do that with the Division 2. I don't think Far Cry New Dawn has microtransactions, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Far Cry did, but they were pretty sedate. They were like skins for your guns.
Yes,
they were pretty sedate.
Because you bought gold bars or something.
Yeah, but and you could you had a normal gun, or you could get one purple. And I mean, not to be rude, I don't give a shit if it's purple or not. But they weren't substantive for that. But I think for some, they definitely have patched in later. Activision probably has, right? We know that fucking look at the price of the Anthem skins. Fuck. Well, you did a video, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it's just like you look at those prices and you're all, are you kidding me? What is? At least we know about those, I guess. I should say, kudos to them for telling us they're going to grift us.
I mean, they said that those pictures are outdated. That's the most worrying part about that. Is like, they're outdated. And we go, okay.
That doesn't change anything.
Concerns. Tell us what the actual prices are. You could say that photo's outdated and then show me fucking $30 skin instead and be like, hey, here's the real one. It's like,
yeah, that makes no sense.
So you're going to fleece me more. It's like, no. I feel like a lot of people are ready to not like Anthem. I saw it kind of in my comment section in today's upload. It was kind of like talking about the end game details, and a lot of people were like, well, this game's going to suck, this game's going to flop. And I mean, more power to them, because the demo's out. I think folks have had a chance to play it, but I don't know. Have you had a chance to play it?
Very much so, yeah. And we're playing tomorrow too. I will say this. No, but there was one amazing time. And I realized if that amazing time is rolled out, if they fix some of this stuff and that amazing time occurs all the time or a good deal of the time, then I'm going to really like it. Okay. I played that for about 7 hours on a weekend day because of the sign-in issues. And then the first day I could barely get in. And did you do the strongholds in Anthem? Those were fun. Like, I did a stronghold and I was like, oh, this is legitimately very fun. Like, I was having a good time. I was trying to figure out synergy, which I wasn't doing very well, with other people and what their moves were and when I should do this and that. I had a tendency to unleash all my specials before enemies were there because I was trying to figure out my buttons. So I'd be like, shield, magic fucking shot. And then I'd be all, oh shit, there's bad guys right there. Like, I was too busy fucking around. But it was fun. The rest of the time, all the other missions were really not good at all. And so I will say I don't know how it's going to roll out. If I'm feeling that and it gets to the other stuff and the fixes happen, then yeah, it could be really fun. I know you said in the DM, you were like, it was difficult to get in, I think you said, but once you did, you had fun too.
I did. The Stronghold was my favorite part for sure.
Me too.
Which is why I was a little disappointed to know there's only going to be 3 once the game comes out.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I want to see... I'm not holding my breath, by the way, so just so folks don't get it wrong, but I want to see how they do their story and their characters.
Right.
Just because press events, which I don't give much credence to, but I've seen a lot of them say, like, oh, these characters, like, you know, based off what we saw in the demo and then what we saw in this event, they're actually pretty interesting characters so far. So
right.
I don't want to totally dismiss BioWare's ability to write a interesting character, even in their one of their worst projects, I feel, which was Dragon Age Inquisition. I thought they had some good characters in there. And I have to say that I found the gameplay very fun, albeit a lot like Andromeda. A lot. I don't know if you noticed that at all, but
I didn't remember it, but everybody said it, so I'll just agree and say I just don't remember anything. I tried to lawnmower my memories of Andromeda out of my head. To be honest, I do not want to remember anything. But you're not the only one. I've seen a lot of people say that, and they said that was the best part of Andromeda.
It was. It was very.
I agree.
Because that game played fun. I even said that in my review where I was not really glowing about it. I said, this game plays very fun, though, and multiplayer in turn was fun, where now Anthem has borrowed a lot of those elements and evolved them in certain ways and added a lot of mobility to the combat where I thought it felt great. So if they can add some good writing on top of it, the codex seemed interesting, or the library they call it in that game. I think there's potential, like, you know, and that's kind of for someone, we've preached fucking endlessly how much we can't stand modern BioWare. I gotta be honest though, and I know they're an easy scapegoat, but I really don't trust EA to allow this to be a good launch though. I feel like something's gotta go wrong.
Yeah, right. Like just because they're there, it's like nah. It's like that one friend that's got bad luck.
Fun. This is enjoyable, but it's like what's gonna happen? What's gonna fuck up?
And there were a lot of weird things in the. I did the PC version, and then a tiny bit of the console, but mostly PC. And there were weird things with the HUD and different button presses that were like hold a button for no reason. There was a lot of weird loading. There was tons of loading on the PC version. Jesus,
there was.
I loaded 3 times in 1 minute, and I timed this. I have video of it. 3 times in 1 minute, I loaded, and I was just like, no one's gonna accept that. Now that could have just been a thing. But yeah, there were some good parts.
How good the game looks. I'm not making excuses, by the way, but I thought the game was, especially when you saw how big some environments were. I remember flying from one mission to another, or from one part of a mission to another, sorry. And I was in this vast, like, valley almost, and it was like a rock wall, and it was, even as someone who plays games like all the time, and we've seen our share of open worlds. You and I review tons of games. Like, we've really seen a lot. So I think it takes a lot more to wow us, especially in the terms of level design, where sometimes it's not like we gloss over, but it truly takes something unique or stand out to admire that aspect. And I was really blown away by the world design of that game. I thought it was incredible how they built scale, where you felt like, despite being this huge javelin, when you were in the sky, flying from point A to point B, I mean, you felt like a speck.
Yeah, I would say it looked good. I would say this is going to sound really weird, so bear with me, anybody listening. I would say the PC was disappointing. The consoles were not. Does that make sense? Like,
I played on the PC personally.
Okay,
which my experience sucks, so I catch you.
So I thought the consoles, they looked better than some other games look for sure, and their action. I think the level design was cool for sure. I absolutely think that. There was a couple things I didn't like. There was a lot of LOD popping. There's a lot of textures, brand new. There was a lot of streaming assets, too, that were crazy, like grass just popping up. And I was on M2 memory, which is faster than SSDs. And I was actually sort of surprised by that. But overall, like world design and level design, that was actually the thing I liked the most.
Cool.
I liked the way my guy looked. I thought I got a couple new helmets. I got all the mechs, and I was like, okay. Or what the fuck? I can't even remember what to call it.
Javelins.
Javelins.
It
Jesus.
took me a while to learn
And,
that too.
dude, there's like 18 fucking games that all Warframe. Oh, it's
Yeah.
frames, it's mechs. It depends on what game. But yeah, I would agree. I think with the consoles, the reason why I say it was more impressive was just because I thought they weren't necessarily smooth, that's for sure. But I thought that what they were doing and stuff, my expectations were lower for console and higher for PC. And I had to drop down a little bit for the PC and raise up a little bit for what I was seeing from the consoles. But yeah, I would say it looks really good. It maybe doesn't look as slick as Destiny. Destiny's art style is phenomenal when you realize how good their guns look. Anthem's guns are terrible. They're a box with a fucking barrel. Every one of the guns I clicked on, there was none of the Destiny, oh, this fucking thing's got arc welders and electricity and all this crazy shit. Everything I got in Anthem, that was the one thing I would say I was really disappointed, was every weapon I got, none of them made me go, I know who the developer is, who the manufacturer is. Remember how like Destiny will be like, it's this brand, and you sort of know, you know what I mean? Every brand. Oh, Mass Effect does that. Mass Effect has the different brands, and so does Borderlands. I don't feel that Anthem did that. That was the one big negative I took from it, was I didn't feel that.
Yeah, I get that. I agree with that. I had actually never thought of that too, but now that you mention it, I wonder if it's because of the difference between one game's first person, one game's third person. So
Absolutely.
The javelins and the customization of the javelins, those are very much aesthetically different.
Yep.
The guns,
I absolutely think that. Because it's in front of you, right? Like, it's not...
it's like, what are you going to be seeing more of? The little box in your hands, or the whole body that's... If you're playing
the
as
problem is
you're flipping around with knives and shit.
Right. The problem is as a loot game, I want the loot to be visually enticing. So I think you're absolutely right. And my hope is that, you know, there's just more in the game. We'll get more. We'll unlock more. Maybe there'll be stuff. Yeah, no, I would agree with that. That the most likely that is what it is.
Right.
That you're not seeing it. I do think graphically, like the verticality is really fucking ace in that. You couldn't fly as high as I wanted. That was the first thing I checked, because I was like, okay, fly straight in the air. Yeah. I love landing. Like, they got the landing right for me, where I was like coming down and powering like just boom, and you felt like, okay, this is a, you know, half a ton, full ton fucking mech hitting the ground. I thought that was cool. Water and stuff was all well done, and the special effects in some areas were really cool. Like when you go into I think it's the stronghold, when you go inside and you're fighting the main, I don't know, boss, they've got the two globs on their back, the two like egg sacs, and I thought those bad guys looked interesting, not amazing, but I was like, oh, this is visual, you know, it's catching my
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited more than I kind of expected to be for the game. Excited is not the right word. I'm more interested than I thought I'd be.
Less worried.
Yeah, and I think the game will, for those whose alley it's up, and those types of games usually aren't up my alley, which is also why I feel like maybe it has more of a chance. But as long as the launch isn't bad, I think it'll do all right. You know, I don't think it's going to wow people, and I think it's going to have some issues with the rinse and repeat gameplay, that no title in that genre. Yeah, in-game content. I think those are things that are going to bog it down. But BioWare has shown that they're quick to respond. So if they can address that in-game content within a week, you know, not like slap together a stronghold, by the way, but I'm saying like, hey, here's some more contracts, here's some new enemies, here's some new loot, go crazy within like a week or two. You know what? That's not too bad. So.
And we saw one area, right? I mean, there's multiple, like what we saw was a really small snippet, really small location. It's like, from what I understand, there's like a world or not a world to explore, but there's certainly hugely, vastly, graphically different locations you're going to be able to go to, which could be very cool.
Absolutely. Back to our original discussion.
Oh yeah, it wasn't about Anthem.
And then, well, yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of a podcast. It was a PSA, we got that, but we didn't talk about Kingdom Hearts 3. So have you had a chance to play any more of that?
No, I did Hercules, got to the end, and then I just got with other stuff. And
gotcha.
You know, once other people have reviews out, I saw a bunch, they sort of mimicked what I thought, and I was like, okay, I'll come back.
Yeah, I mean, that's the business you run, right? You know, that's your place, so I get that. Yeah, for me as a long time Kingdom Hearts fan, as someone who's definitely in that crowd, who's, you know, technically waiting for 14 years for this game, I gotta say, in many ways, it's really anything that I could have hoped for, right? There's still those flaws storytelling wise, even though I see a clear attempt to remove some clutter, we'll call it,
Right.
to deconstruct some of the mysteries and almost spell it out for you. And if you're a longtime Kingdom Hearts fan, while most plot devices, that's annoying, where they don't trust the gamer's intelligence, they took it too far where they just made it so convoluted. They're like, figure it out. And they're like, well, fuck, how do you even figure this out? And so they kind of unravel things, I'd say.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that, even though it's still messy. I get it a little bit more, and what the main plot for Kingdom Hearts 3 is very straightforward. It's just some of the lore details, like Xehanort Semnis,
right.
the organization, the real organization. That shit's complicated, and only, like, I'd say the most hardcore fans are really going to understand that aspect. But for what's there gameplay-wise, it's so much fun. The form changes are always very much a wow factor. I mean, I'm currently 13 or 14 hours in, and I still go, oh my gosh, sometimes when I see some of the things this game does, the attraction flow, the flow motion, it's very much the culmination of so many years of experimenting with different aspects of Kingdom Hearts, where we're seeing like shot lock from, or the focus rather, from Birth by Sleep. We're seeing flow motion from Dream Drop Distance. We're seeing all these different parts of Kingdom Hearts being pulled into 3, and it's very self-aware that it's people have been waiting for a while for this game, and they'll make tons of references to past games. It's almost a celebration of Kingdom Hearts in a way, while still moving things forward. What I want to see is, I know I like this game a lot, and I know I always will like it a lot, but what I want to do is beat it, enjoy my honeymoon phase, and really deconstruct it more down the line. Because look, I am the first to say it's easy to remove bias, but in a situation like this, where if you're a fan like me and you've been waiting fucking forever for this game, it's not like I'm coming in, I want to like this, I'm going to make sure I do. Not that type of bias, but how much am I willing to glaze over certain things because of all that sparkle and shine that's there, that I'm, oh, wow, you know, next time I talk with a friend about it once the game's done and we've had time to digest our feelings and we have a discussion about the plot, do I go, yeah, that was really stupid, or yeah, why'd they do that? You know, like, that's the type of stuff that devalues a game to me, and over time, is it one of the best I've played, or is it just like another Kingdom Hearts game? So that's the type of stuff that I'm holding back my opinion for the game on, because I wanna beat it. I want to make a review just for myself, just to always have there, sort of thing. But overall, I'm really enjoying it.
Did you have you enjoyed the boss fights? How many boss fights have you?
I am currently on Frozen, so I think I'm 4 or 5 planets in.
Have you thought those were pretty? I thought the first one was pretty okay. Was pretty good. I do agree with some people saying it's got a little bit of Last Guardian-itis, where it's been in development so long. Things feel a little old.
Yeah,
but
for sure. One issue I have with this game right off the bat was I've noticed that a lot of these Disney characters that they show are used to create the plot for the world, and then you'll have the Disney villain of said character,
right?
And often you'll fight that Disney villain in a mini boss fight or something, and there hasn't been that at all in the game. You don't fight Hades, you don't fight Zurg, who doesn't even show up at all in Toy Story. You don't fight these characters, and I've personally have a gripe with that, because I feel, because then, for example, I don't want to spoil anything, but you'll fight the heartless version of someone from a certain planet, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, this hardly resembles what that person is emotionally, or
as a boss battle, you mean, right?
Yeah.
Like what you would expect them to use or do.
Exactly. It just feels like I'm fighting a giant heartless or a giant nobody, and that has so far, the boss fight itself, in the terms of scale, in the terms of what I can do,
those are fine.
The combat, fun as shit.
Yeah.
It feels like you're in a play box half the time, just doing what you want, and it, in a way, the game's a lot easier than it should be. I'm playing on the normal difficulty.
It is. I will agree with that shit. It is easy. That is weird.
And I think it's because there is a younger audience coming in, and they're trying to appease
Sure.
to that, when they don't realize that 2 is popular because it could be tough as fucking nails sometimes.
But still look like a Disney cartoon.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
The dichotomy sells a game sometimes. It looks one way and it's like, oh shit, you know.
Right.
Precisely. When you were, I also had an issue with a little bit of control in some. It wasn't even an issue. I wouldn't even say that. Well, yeah, it was. It was a little bit of an issue in control, a little bit with some particular points. But I do think that almost all of that is overshadowed by the fact that it's still fun, even if there's a little issue here and there, and it's also still grandiose enough. I also would agree on the boss thing, because I only got one, and then I saw the other. I watched like some of the others, and I was all, like it doesn't reflect atmospherically. It would almost be like in Toy Story if you were fighting Buzz Lightyear and he doesn't fly, it doesn't try to fly, or doesn't sprout his wings out, and you'd be like, that's sort of a missed opportunity. I guess that's what I'll use. It was more of a missed opportunity in some of the bosses.
A huge amount. It doesn't, because what happens is they nail the we'll call it the good side of things. Like when it comes to the heroes from these universes you're uniting with, like personality-wise, writing-wise, conclusion-wise, their send-offs. It's always great. It's the villain side. It's like they play it safe on. They introduce them, they tie them in. It's like, oh my God, there he is, or there she is. And then, like, when obviously they're going to be a part of that final battle, and they're not. It's really weird. And maybe over time the game changes, but I'd imagine if I'm this many planets in and I still have yet to see any difference there, I noticed them kind of pulling it back on the mini bosses, which, you know, even if they're temporary, like Kingdom Hearts 2 and I think Dream Drop Distance, as well as Birth by Sleep, did it a lot. Where in this game, you finish a world, and maybe you're visited by someone by the organization. And sometimes you have a quick little boss fight with them, and that's it. And maybe they beat you or whatever, and then a cutscene picks up afterwards. But in this game, it's like, you know, it almost becomes a little formulaic. Like, you know you're not going to fight them there. Because they're showing you a cutscene of them after the world is technically concluded and the trophy is popped. And you know, like, okay, I'm not going to fight Vanitas here or something like that. And so to me, that's the other frustrating part. It seems very like, okay, you enter the world, you get introduced to the character, set up the plot, mini game, you hit the middle point, there's a twist. How do they solve this? You get to the final boss, send off, cutscene. Like it's very much not cookie cutter in a bad way, because the worlds are so vastly different graphically and presentation wise, and what you can do there, and all the collectibles that are there, and the interactions. It all feels different, but in the terms of a design approach, it's very samey, which for a game so fun, it's not as prevalent, and it's not as much marring the experience as it is just noticeable. So
yeah, I mean,
it's
definitely, yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say, is like, it's definitely awesome enough that kind of stuff isn't even, I mean, it's noticed, right? But it doesn't like, oh, this is terrible. It's just like, oh, it would have been cool. Have they announced DLC for this?
No, I don't think so.
Because it would be great if they had somehow, like, multi-dimension fucking fight these guys in a side story or something. Like, oh, you know, these guys have come back to try to save the bad guys you defeated in the main game, and you got to stop them, and you get to experience one or two of these side, like you said, mini bosses, I guess you would call them, but sort of showing up. I think that would be very cool. Yeah. Overall, I think graphically, you know, the game looks amazing. The gameplay is fairly solid, and it honestly, I think for most fans, it's easily good enough to like make them feel rewarded. And if you're not a fan, it's good enough to probably ignore the writing. I do know that I bounced off a couple things that were said, and I was like, what? And then I was just like, and I told you guys it was like a fever dream, because they were saying words, and your brain's like, what is that word? And like you said, it's like, or like you and I were talking about, it's like, do you have a wiki? Do you have your fucking Jiminy Cricket glossary? What do you do to sort of help not the casual gamer, but maybe the person who's never played a Kingdom Hearts because they're too young? Maybe they just got their system. That's the only thing I could see people bouncing off of occasionally. The narrative
I'd say
sides.
For a game that's been in the oven this long, I think they did a really good job.
It turned out well.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I look at Final Fantasy 15, which is a game that I played, I really, really like, and I still like to this day, but definitely not as much as when I first played it, because when I went back from DLC, and I went back for the multiplayer expansion, I did not like the combat as much, that hold circle and just watch shit happen, and like the screen going, square block, like, you know, just putting it in your face. I did not like the gameplay for that. The plot, as as my friend played through it, and he was kind of going back and forth with me, I realized there were parts that were quite nonsensical. And so for me, that's why I'm very happy with Kingdom Hearts 3, because what I see that's flawed, I think it's like I see it, I know it. Whereas I feel Final Fantasy 15, like I said, the best other example from Square, it kind of almost hit its flaws up front well, and they came out over time. Because the story nailed what it, I guess, the main narrative thread was solved, and it had a really good ending. And so certain little side interactions that happen throughout the main story that you forget about, when they get brought back up, you're like, what the fuck? You know,
well, and remember, Final Fantasy, Maddie, got a huge patch to fix the story.
Yes, that too.
Right? That does prove
13 or something like that?
Yeah, and where like you found out more about the starting, you found like they patched in the car being able to drive everywhere. Like there were things that you and I played, and we, I realized, especially when I was driving the car in Final Fantasy, I was like, okay, I can't go like into the dirt or whatever. Like there's some things missing. They patched all those in. I don't think Kingdom Hearts is going to have that issue.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Because
also, what you're noticing, I don't think they will. Like, or what when we're talking about mini bosses, I think anybody, old school fan, will notice it and go, missed opportunity. A newer fan won't really even think that. They'll just be like, wow, at some fucking transforming ship. They'll be like, that's fucking, that's an amazing graphics. They won't care if like those mini guys aren't in there right away. I don't think.
I also think a lot of fans will end up really praising this game for things that are to be expected nowadays that weren't in previous KH titles. Right. For example, like when you interact with characters in the world in, we'll say 2, there was text boxes, and it would be like 4 people in a room, but now there are towns, and people are all throughout the town, and there's everyone's voiced. And, even if you talk to someone, there's no text box, it is voiced entirely. And some people will be like, oh my god, Kingdom Hearts 3 is the best shit ever, because they never had that in a Kingdom Hearts game.
Yeah.
But in terms of an actual game, I expect that.
Yeah, for sure. And when you don't get it, it makes you pause, right?
Right.
When you get the big text box and you're all, are they going to talk?
Yeah. So the one thing I would like to see when it comes to post-launch content, because I meant to mention this when you brought it up, is because there's a very large community who loves to do like level 1 runs in Kingdom Hearts or Proud Mode level 1 Kingdom Key runs. And I'd love to see some type of boss rush mode. I think boss rush modes are the most underutilized aspect in DLC that I think could pull in a ton of people talking about the game if you made like a really sound boss rush mode. And especially in a game like Kingdom Hearts, which has a very easy to understand concept of combat up front. Bash X, hold L1, use your magic, your shortcuts, whatever. Use your different forms, press triangle when you've got to, you're good. But when it comes to certain bosses that can wipe you out in 3 hits, being able to time your blocks, your dodges, your flow motion now, and make use of all the tools you've got, they can make a really good boss rush mode. Or with all the characters in the game, they can make a cool multiplayer mode, I feel. But that's a whole separate story.
Yeah, wouldn't that be crazy? They were like multiplayer boss mode or something like that, and you got to be good guys, bad guys, all in like a sort of mini Smash Brothers.
Smash Brothers for Kingdom Hearts. I'd love that.
I don't know. I wonder if those different entities would allow that. Like, I don't know if you remember, but there's been times where like video game characters won't be added to other games because they'll be like, we don't want Mario losing to Master Chief, right? But I mean, these guys are already smashed fucking in there. Excuse the pun, but they're all they're all in there. So it would be sort of cool to see something like that, like a boss rush mode or a battle mode. Be really interesting.
We shall see.
What did you think about the music?
It lacked a bit of bombastic feel at times. It's still really good sounds going on in that game, or there are really good sounds going on in that game. The music in particular is still good. Kingdom Hearts music has always been good, so that was something I also expected. But I noticed a lot more like trumpets used in previous Kingdom Hearts soundtrack. To like I said, it feels louder. It like pierces
like
your
an
ears a little
anthem.
more. Yeah, and this one doesn't. And there are tracks where it does, and it maybe it's my own music taste, but it feels like things get elevated more.
Yeah,
where sometimes these tracks feel like they sit in the background more than like like that, like in your fucking face. Like that's what I want. I want that in your face type of track, because that's what the series is built off of. Not that the music's bad, but it lacks a little bit.
And that's what cartoons are known for. I mean, they like You've Got a Friend in Me from Toy Story or something like that, right? Like, I mean, we know those, we pick up on those. So it would have been nicer to have some more, a little bit more in your face. That was one of the first things I noticed when I was playing. I was all, it seems a little subdued, not terrible in any way. It was just not what I was expecting. I was expecting a little bit more in your face, a little bit more anthems, catchy, you know.
Because I'm kind of glad though they dialed it back, because there are worlds like Hollow Bastion from the other Kingdom Hearts games where it was very like and you're just running around exploring. Like it would just and it felt,
you're like, what's so amazing right now?
Like fucking chill, Square. Like it's just a town. So
yeah, right.
I'm happy in some sense they dialed it back. Just there's some fights that could be elevated. Like they have some really great boss music. And Monsters Inc. in particular has a really astoundingly good battle track that I loved. So there's some really great pieces throughout. And it's a game that has, I think part of it's also, it feels like for every moment this game has like a new sliver of music. So I feel it's a game that over time the moments will be identified by the music, and so it requires multiple playthroughs to really appreciate that type of music, because it's associated with a specific part of the game instead of like, this is the battle music, this is the heartless battle music, this is the nobody music, and so on. So yeah. All right, let's move on to our next topic, which is Crackdown 3. Now, I didn't have a chance to read all of the press write-ups on what was a new hands-on experience with the game, but originally what we were planning on when discussing for our show was, hey, let's talk about how Crackdown 3 is not getting much coverage and how Microsoft really hasn't taken the lid off this game and it's worrisome. Now we have a little bit to talk about. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to watch or read up. Have you?
Yeah, I've watched, I think, every of the big guys who've done their stuff, and then I found a thread where somebody had taken all the quotes and sort of put those together. So,
all right.
Yeah, it was. So we were talking in your forum, and it was like, or in your Discord, it's like, have we seen any ads? I had seen some people had seen none, and so then we were like, what exactly is going on?
Personally.
Yeah, you had seen none. Paper Bag Crusher, who's been on your podcast, in mine, he had seen none, or he couldn't remember them. I think that's because also they're fairly unforgettable. Like, I love Terry Crews, but once you see one commercial with Terry Crews, right? Yeah. But it was interesting. Yeah, and who I love, don't get me wrong, but so reading it, like Polygon, they weren't incredibly in love with it. They said slightly underwhelmed. But I was interested to see that a lot of them said that this is what's weird, dude. A lot of them played the multiplayer and a little bit of the single player and thought the single player was absolutely like Crackdown 1. Like there was almost universal, wow, that single player is awesome. The multiplayer, either it was like, there were a couple who said it was amazing, a couple who said it was great, and then some who were like, the multiplayer is not really doing it for me at all. Which was interesting because the people who played it, the YouTubers who played it at the event, what was the last event? Microsoft had an event. It would have been Gamescom maybe?
No, it was, didn't they have that Xbox festival? I forgot where it was.
Yes. And they got to play that and were like, really like the multiplayer. So I don't really know, exactly what's up. But one thing I do like is nobody said this is terrible. Nobody said this is an abomination. Nobody said like, oh my God. Many of them said, okay, if this is the marquee title that they want, it's not a Halo. It's not a Gears, unfortunately. But they did say, a lot of those same people were like, it is definitely a spiritual successor to Crackdown 1, not 2, which I think for most people, they're really happy about that because Crackdown 2 did not set the world on fire. It sucked, I thought. But like, it's interesting to see what some of these people are saying. Like Venture Beats, like Crackdown is like a living in a comic book. You're always watching a sea of colors. You have no shortage of guns, blah, blah, blah. You're looking for more than that, like an emotional story. It's probably not your game. Right. Very polished, no significant bugs. It's weird because I don't know where your and mine even understanding of where to be on a hype level for this, because it's been so long. And then we saw people see it, and it's, people aren't saying it's terrible, but it's like, it's going to be interesting for me to see if it just hits and dies. It doesn't appear to be State of Decay level, where it has some issues. It seems to be between, like, let's say, Sea of Thieves looking, as in people were really impressed with some stuff, not so impressed with others, and maybe Forza, which I don't think it's going to hit those levels. But it was interesting that everybody came out and were like, oh yeah, you know, like it's fun. They didn't really explode on it though. Like nobody really said wow. But they didn't also say it's terrible, which I don't know if that's good. Sometimes polarization's better, right? Sometimes it's like it would almost be better if somebody was like, I hate it, and somebody else was like, I love it. I'm seeing like GIFs. The destruction looks pretty fun. I just don't know what to think. I'm excited it's finally coming out, but I just don't know where it's going.
I sit sort of out of all games how I sat with Kingdom Hearts 3 leading up to launch. Yeah, I waited so long for it, but there came a point where I just shut off and I was like, just give me the game. Like, that's all I care about. And that's where I have gradually shifted into as a gamer in general, but I can feel that with Crackdown 3. As we got closer and closer, I kind of just dropped the conversation on where is it? What's happening? Is there chaos at Microsoft? Is this game going to get shut down? I was just like, all right, it's coming. They're probably not going to delay it again. That's probably the reason they're shutting down the media on it, because they don't want to hype anyone up. They just want to make sure the game gets out there. And in turn, I'm just like, okay, give me the game. Let's see if it's good. Because if it's good, like gamers always do, they will sing to the high heavens about how great your game is. But if it sucks, then they will do the same thing and talk about how bad your product is.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like Power Up Gaming was like, they say, in general, I found the multiplayer modes added to most big budget AAA action adventure titles always feel tacked on or low value. That was my first thought when I learned about Crackdown 3. However, I'm happy to say I was totally wrong. It's incredibly good and the showcase of the power of cloud computing. So but then somebody else is like, it's got pretty good multiplayer, right? So you're all,
Is it
that
co-op? Is it
it's single player. Single player, from what I understand, is co-op. Then you have 5. I'm looking Wrecking Zone 5 versus 5 PvP, where you need to work together with your team to defeat opposing agents and collect the badges they drop when they die. Oh, okay. Think Supremacy and Destiny is what this person says.
Cool.
So I don't know, man. Like, it was nice to get some data, but I will say that other than all of them agreeing it wasn't terrible, it wasn't even maybe I wouldn't even say it wasn't average. It doesn't, at least from what they're saying, appear to be like the big thing, the Halo, the Gears, you know, maybe what Microsoft had originally probably wanted when they first announced it. You know what I mean? Like when they first announced it, it was like, oh shit, and it's been so long that last 4 years ago, oh shit is not as cool as it is now.
I feel like there's almost this insinuation. How can you expect, if you're Microsoft, how can you expect a game with the number 3 tacked on to it to be your flagship title, right?
Yeah.
Because if I'm a consumer and I've never heard of Crackdown up until the 3rd, or I never played Crackdown up until the 3rd, I'd be like, well, why didn't I play the previous 2? Probably because not a lot of people were talking about it. Maybe it missed me. Maybe I didn't like it. I feel like it invites just those quick, like, not negative thoughts, but I probably didn't do it because X, Y, and Z. I feel like if it's going to be a flagship title, you see Sony doing it a lot. Spider-Man, Neo, Persona 5 is a little bit different. What else could be? Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, you don't see like a 1 or 2 attached to these. Even The Last of Us, the way it's named is very clever because it's building off of The Last of Us, but then you have Part 2. So if you see The Last of Us Part 2 and go, that looks fucking cool, you can see clearly, like, okay, Part 2, as in, like, maybe the story is incomplete and maybe that's why I'm not getting what's happening here. It's not like the question mark that comes with some games where it's like, here's the second version of the game, but it's a complete standalone Final Fantasy. It's completely standalone, has nothing to do with the last one. And I just feel like that's hard to make a flagship title when you got that number attached to it, which is why I think we see a increase in subtitles instead of, you know, a number attachment.
Or if they were closer together. If Crackdown 3 had come out the year the Xbox One had been released, you know, coming out of the 360, you can remember Crackdown 1 a lot easier. Mm-hmm. But it's like it has been 4 years, and so it is a little bit more difficult to be excited. It's not like Kingdom Hearts where there's Disney and shit, and so all these different fans come together. Yeah. It's more, if you're looking for Crackdown, you're going to know about it, and if you're not, you're going to probably know very little about it, and then you have to be sold on it, which I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. Like, I don't know how Game Pass is probably going to save almost even mediocre games and make them great because of the continued support. That's fine. I just don't know if it'll hit very hard. And especially they picked a wrong day. Sorry.
Yeah.
But come on.
Yeah.
I mean, well, and I don't think they did. If I remember right, they were the first one. And then everybody else moved to the 15th. But they all moved to the 15th.
I know
and
Metro moved up. Dead or Alive
it's a bad day.
Left.
Yeah, Dead or Alive left. A couple games did leave. That is for sure.
Far Cry was announced at Game Awards, so that was
so
like
it was
surprise.
after. Yeah.
And then what else is there? Jump Force. I don't remember when that got announced. I think that was before December.
And then Anthem, technically, depending on if you have early access or EA,
true,
whatever that is.
Crazy,
yeah, so we're finally getting stuff. It seems like some people really liked it. Some people thought it was sort of blah. But no, the nice thing is it doesn't seem like it's at least come under the, oh shit, it's been in development a long period. I mean, there's always going to be somebody who hates it, and there's always going to be somebody who loves it. But at least for me, it was sort of nice to see people finally talking about it, and we feel a little closer to the release, which is fucking nice.
I think what sucks with a lot of these games that take a while to release, we were just talking about Kingdom Hearts 3, but also Crackdown, is expectations building. It's taken this long, therefore it has to be this amazing. And what people don't think of is the game development side of things, where it probably took so long because something happened bad during development that is holding up the entire process. So they are probably working intensely on fixing one core issue happening with this game. Not they're continuing to build everything. They're probably all hands on deck. We have to fix this kind of thing, right? Or they had to redesign an entire concept, and there's disagreement amongst the office. It's not like just because it took so long that the game just kept growing and growing. They don't want to keep growing it, because then that's more they got to tear down if they decide, fuck this, we're 180ing and changing. So that's what folks have to keep in mind with Crackdown 3. Anyway.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all comes together, because I think that game is, I think all these long games, Last Guardian, same way. Like, when those games come out, you have to look at them with a sort of a different eye towards, like, when they were originally. Even Kingdom Hearts. Like I said, there's some parts that feel old, and you just have to sort of look at it and go, that's a part of development. But I don't think new fans will care. Like, they shouldn't either. A new fan won't know that. So hopefully they can do it, because Microsoft having, at least a good, solid shooter as a multiplayer game on Game Pass would definitely help them.
Yes. I hope so, for their sake. I really do, because I like State of Decay, and I think they have great supporting cast for Microsoft. It's just a matter of when they get that big hit to pull people in. People are going to join. They're going to see Game Pass. They're going to see the games they can get, the support that those games got, and I think that's when those games rise to greater heights, personally.
And racing doesn't do it. Sorry, but Forza Horizon 4, I was hoping would have been at least on some people's Game of the Year awards, because I truly believe it's that good. But it's a racing game, and I don't think currently racing games can capture that. It has to be a shooter. It has to be,
I think it's just because racing games can only offer so much. Like, you can't get out of your car and do X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
Where it's like, I can race in GTA, so why would I race in Forza?
Exactly.
People just think that way, right?
Exactly.
So it sucks, but it's true. Anyway, we'll move on to our next pretty interesting news bit, which is RE2 outperforming RE7. So Resident Evil 2 had 3 million copies in its first week, which I think outperforms Resident Evil 7 by, I want to say, 1 million?
It's a lot. I know they were saying that.
Yeah. Now, I want your thoughts on this, because I struggle to piece together why one did better than the other. Is it familiarity? Did a lot more people than I know of play Resident Evil 2 and saw it coming back? It's not like it's got a subtitle, which we talked about last week. It's not like they're saying it's a Resident Evil 2 remake. They're calling it Resident Evil 2. And folks who maybe come to GameStop every couple of months, they see 7 and they're like, why the fuck is 2 coming out? And that's $60, but 7's like $20. I don't get this. Is 7 bad? What are your thoughts? Why did Resident Evil 2 outperform 7 from your standpoint?
Because I truly believe the rumors that 7 was not a Resident Evil game at first are true. The original supposed story is that Resident Evil 7 was a horror game, and that at some point they looked at it and said, let's put some Resident Evil in here, rub some Resident Evil up in there. And they did, because you notice you only see some of the Resident Evil stuff at the very end of the game. So, in fact, a lot of the time, other than a cutscene here or there, it's very Americana horror movie. It has a completely different non-Japanesey feel to it. And I think that also we're looking at a time when these systems are hugely ballooning in numbers compared to where they were. Even 2 years ago, when we're seeing huge numbers posted by PS4, huge numbers by Xbox, huge numbers by Switch. So their actual, who you're selling to is bigger. So if you only sell to 1%, but you have a much smaller group, and then you sell to 1%, but you have a bigger group, that 1% will automatically be different or be larger just due to numbers, just due to how it works. So I also feel that, but I think it's a mixture. I think a lot of people I know didn't like Resident Evil 7 because they would tell me, they'd be like, oh, it's not really like other Resident Evils. Now to me, that spoke to me. To many Resident Evil fans, 7 never spoke to them, despite how fucking awesome it was. So I can see. I think it makes sense. Yeah, and let's be honest, man. 7 was cool, but it was PSVR. It was first person, right? There were all these things about that were a little bit different. And Resident Evil 2 is a classic. Plus, it's, I think, a little bit more Japanese inspired, a little bit more puzzle. There were almost no puzzles in 7. And I just think well, there were, what would you call those puzzles in 7? I don't know how you describe the puzzles in 7.
I gotta be honest, I played that game 3 times and I don't remember a puzzle.
There were a couple doors.
Like,
you needed like a raven to open.
A key or something like that.
Yeah, so they were more like travel here. I mean, and I would say Resident Evil 2 sort of just has the same thing too, but there were a couple where you had to figure out a code or something. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me why there's a difference in sales.
Yeah,
and it's good.
Maybe,
Jesus.
I was gonna say maybe the difference is we talked about it last week. I haven't played any more since because Kingdom Hearts came out, and it's not that I don't want to play RE2. I'll admit, as I've seen more and more people talk about how scary it can get later on, because you have, I think, what was it, Mr. X, like kind of stalking you around the level.
Yeah,
like,
love it.
Let me just tell
Did you see Fighting Cowboy say that too?
No.
Fighting Cowboy shit himself when he saw that guy the first time. He posted about it. He's like, Jesus.
Because I get anxiety thinking about in Resident Evil 7 when the father baker, I forgot his first name.
Not Joseph. That's from
Jack or something like that. But
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Like, I get so like caught up thinking of when I'm running around in slow motion practically in this house, and I hear like the loud footsteps like right on my tail.
Yeah.
And in Resident Evil 2 having that, and apparently to a very extreme extent where it's like the best and worst part of the game.
Yeah.
It's definitely not made me want to rush back. It's like, I'll beat Kingdom Hearts 3 and then I'll get back to it. So, I'll admit I'm being a bitch, but I gotta work my way into this. Because right now the story didn't grab me.
Sure.
Like I said, I'm only 2 hours in, but
I like 7's story better.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I thought 7 had a really good story. But technologically, I think the game is very fascinating in many ways. Like I said, I still had that issue with the models, but lighting-wise, the way levels are designed, where lighting is such a key aspect and driving player focus, it's really cool what they've done with that game.
Yeah, I can
that police station, and it's like, oh right, it was an art museum, of course.
Yeah, right. And luckily they talk about it. I think the story is tacked on in 2. What I mean by that is they took the story from 2 originally, and they did certainly add some explanations here and there. They did a couple adjustments here and there in the new one, which is cool. But I just don't think it's cohesive anywhere near. And it's still much more Japanese inspired than Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 7 told a story like Alan Wake did. Whereas like 1, 2, 3, 4, even when you started hearing shit, you go to the ship, and you're like, what? But they do a pretty good job. Where I think with 2, I liked it, but I don't think it's as strong as 7 by any means.
Right on.
Story-wise.
Yeah. We'll see, because I know there's so many aspects of it. And now with this success, we're actually seeing free DLC is coming to this game, too. That's the other difference maker. Like three episodes, I think they said, where you're going to play as like different characters.
Yeah, other survivors.
Yeah, what do you think about that? I mean, that's the other thing is Resident Evil 7 had a great launch, and then it was kind of plagued by the tapes, I think, which were like $15, and they were crap, honestly. And it took a while for them to get an actual expansion out, which I think you played as Mia, I want to say, if I remember correctly. Or
I never revisited the DLC.
You played as Chris Redfield.
Oh,
and I don't think that was the free one that I think came out and no one talked about it.
I think 2 also, again, just has the thing where it's not VR, so it's a little easier for anybody to reference. I think a lot of people thought 7 was almost a full VR game, because that's what a lot of us talked about, was the VR version. Not everybody, but I mean just a lot of us. It does bode well for them doing this well, too, because, like, I want Code Veronica. I would kill for a Code Veronica remake, and it seems like... I mean, I don't want a remake of every game, obviously. But the Resident Evil titles have always had issues with control, for example. Resident Evil 2's control is 10 times better than the original Resident Evil 2.
Right.
So, to me, there are some issues where these games could be moved forward with quality of life fixes that would make them very cool, which I would like to see.
Yeah, I'm looking up reviews right now of Resident Evil 7's DLC. There was the banned footage, it was called. It was volumes 1 and 2, which were like those puzzles from the VCR tapes.
Man, you know what, dude? I don't think I played them.
I certainly didn't. Yeah, Not a Hero was free of charge.
Were you the 2 guys? The two poltergeist fighters? The 2 Oh no, okay, no, something there. I see what you're saying. Okay, so it wasn't them, right? You
Not
weren't.
a Hero
you weren't.
did come out, and it says it was more action focused.
Okay.
So there's that. Makes sense. It's got Chris Redfield. Sure. Anyway.
What'd you think? What'd you think about the guy chewing at the starting? It was I thought it was awesome facial animation.
Yeah.
And that guy grabs that hamburger.
I felt like I was eating that burger myself, honestly.
Yeah. It was sort of gross.
Yeah.
It was sort of gross, but
I think they were trying to do that. It gave the game almost this raunchy start. I don't know how to describe it. It played into the game well, and I don't know if it was like an artistic decision or they were like, all right, just do it, but
he's like picking shit out of his teeth with his tongue, and you can actually see him with his mouth closed, but he's like, and you're like, I've done that, but I don't want somebody watching me while I'm doing it. You're right there, right? It's like they attach the camera to his fucking face, and they're all, we're gonna make you watch it all. I get what you were saying about the characters later. You were having an issue with a couple of their facial models during cutscenes. I certainly had an issue with not Marvin. Yeah, Marvin. Mm-hmm. Marvin, right? The deputy.
Marvin. I know who you're talking about. Yeah, the lieutenant.
Yeah, he did not look up to spec compared to, like, I thought Claire. I thought she was smoking, first of all. But, like, I thought they did a really good job with her, and then Chris a little, or Leon a little less so. And Marvin, he didn't look the greatest, nor did the guy... Have you beat it?
No.
Have you gone into the car park? The cars, the police cars?
2 hours in Leon playthrough. So
2 hours in Leon, so you haven't been there. Okay, forget it. There's just some characters you meet that I think don't have the same attention to detail that some of the others do. You can there's an unevenness that you notice.
Yeah, man. I mean, I like it a lot from what I have played. It's just Kingdom Hearts 3 spoilers abound. I've already had... I could see, like, the start of tweets of people literally trying to fucking ruin the game for me. Because... Right. Why the fuck not?
Yeah. Jackasses.
I'm just like, scroll. I'm like, go fuck yourself. You know, and that's it. So
yeah, I'd like to see
that's like my first priority.
I'd like to see what you think of 2, because you were like me and you liked 7. I think that 2's got a shit ton to offer.
Right.
I don't know if it's as strong as 7, but I think 7 had a lot going for it. Again, the Americana horror, haunted house horror movie kind of feel to it.
That's interesting.
Did you like the remember in 7 when he fucking gets in the car? Well, you can also get in the car, but when you fight Jack or whatever his name is, and you're in the garage, and he gets in the car and he's like doing fucking trying to smash you, and I was just like, this is fucking awesome, man.
I love the intro in that game where you like stabbed him and he still like punched you out and you had to run him over, and even then he's not dead. So cool.
Yeah, it was so cool. I think it's awesome, man. I mean, 2 is probably one of the best remakes ever, Matty. I mean, as a game, as like a remake, 2 is insane how well they did with 2 and how much they did. I also want to know what you think when you play because will you play 4 times or 2 times? Will you just play?
I'll probably play 4 times because of this new setup. I just feel more inclined to game more because it's more. I don't know how to describe it. There's so much less clutter. Like I.
Oh no, I know
that.
I
sound like I don't have room to game, if that makes sense. But it's just like my controllers were fucking all over the place. Like, I couldn't use my keyboard and mouse. Like, I just didn't have like an optimal setup to game, and it sometimes chipped away at times where I was telling you how I play Kingdom Hearts for like 8 hours straight because like I finished my workout and I was like, all right, good to go, let's do this.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know what you think, because some people said they liked. So in the original number 2, there were huge differences between Claire and Leon's story, and in this one they're less so. So some people liked the intertwining more closely, and other people didn't. And it'll be interesting. You haven't met Mr. X. There's him. There's of course the other monsters, but I won't spoil any of that. That'll be fun for you to see what you think of some of them.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember if it was one of your guys or if it was Fighting Cowboy. It was one of the two, but somebody was like, Fighting Cowboy was streaming or talking about it and was just like, when that shit started happening, he was like, oh, fuck, it is creepy. It'll be, and I think you've seen it in your Discord, some people saying it's frustrating having that character consistently coming after you, and then others have been like, dude, that added, for me it added. Even at the very end when it was still doing, I was like, I love it. Some people not so much.
I feel like it's a patience thing. You know, for me, I take some time to go through the menus in that game, and I hate when that's rushed. If I can open my inventory and be okay, that's one thing. Like, I'm not saying pause the game, but if I can open my inventory and organize my shit, but feeling that pressure when I'm trying to like just get shit together, that sucks. That's what bugs me at times. But also in the moment, I'm sure I'd be like, oh, fuck, like that. So, you know, I think it'll be fun either way. I'm really concerned because I like that game a lot from what I did play. And I told you how when survival horror is done well, it's easily like one of my favorite genres next to RPGs, just because it's so unique and not enough people do it, which is a good thing. I think that's what's part of the charm, because it's hard to do.
I'm so glad you did Leon first too, because have you got any other weapons other than your handgun? You probably got a special edition gun, right? You got the fucking special Beretta for getting it a code?
No, not that I saw.
Okay, so there should be two guns. Your normal and 9mm, and then there should be a I can't remember. There's a name for it, but there's a special. But anyway, it doesn't do any more damage, so you're not losing anything. Did you get any?
That's all I want.
Did you get any shotguns or anything yet? As Leon?
No,
not shotguns
guns yet. No, not that I can.
So
remember.
The cool thing about Leon and her is that they have a completely different play style. Like Leon's is more thoughtful and more like this is why I think it's perfect. It was more learning the what do we call it? The museum, the fucking police station, and then you go to her and that changes up. And I'm really glad you did Leon, because I think anybody who does Claire first might somewhat feel a little bit of a shortcoming there. They might feel like it's because you're going from a fairly powerful different style of playthrough to a less powerful, because I think Leon feels a little less powerful. I don't know. Did you and you figured out all the knife shit prior to putting it away? You had got that all figured out.
Yeah,
it's very cool. I like that a lot.
I agree. Yeah, they did a good job like removing the tank controls from what I've seen.
Oh yeah,
and so it seems like it's worthy of all the praise it's got, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's like in that Game of the Year talk for us as we continue on once I catch up and I beat that. It's such a busy time. Like I said, I want to beat Kingdom Hearts 3 for myself and also make a review of that. But by the time I'm probably done with that, we'll be nearing some review periods for some other games, which we can't talk about right now. So it's like, you know.
Well, that's why I've been telling people to check your review. Like people will be like, are you doing Kingdom Hearts? And I'll be like, listen, man, like it's just, I'm not going to get to that in time. But I'm like, just go check Maddie's, because he'll do one. No matter what, like there'll be one from him. He'll do it. If I don't agree, I would say something, but it's like I can't see us already just from the talk. Obviously, I think we're in agreement there. Yeah. But I think it'd be cool to have somebody do Kingdom Hearts like you, who's a bigger reviewer, who actually is a fan, but who still sort of critiques. Because I saw some reviews from some bigger folks, and it felt
this is it. This is what we've been waiting for.
Yeah. It was like you can still say that and still find some difficulty in a couple things.
I'd still would say like, oh, is it worth the wait? I'd say yes. I'd say absolutely, because it could have been so much worse. It came out in an excellent manner with what's there. It's just there are some obvious flaws design-wise that shouldn't be glossed over, I feel, and should at least be discussed. If you still have a blast with the game and the characters and the story and the gameplay just overrule all that for you, that's your opinion at the end of the day, and that's fine. But for me, I'll be curious to see how I feel once the credits roll.
Are you gonna review Resident Evil 2?
Yes, because
okay, awesome.
Getting
awesome.
a code from Capcom is like Namco for me. It's like I've never had it happen, so I'm like, okay.
Oh, so you got to make sure return their favor.
Yeah, not even return their favor, but it's like, okay, you know, I feel like it's part of the deal, right? You get a code, you create the review for them. It's not like, oh, okay, thanks for the game, fuck you. You know, it's like you gotta, you know, make sure you do your part. So I'm definitely gonna create a review for both, just a little bit delayed.
Cool.
Which usually I take advantage of. Like, I remember my Neo review was late, and I did the same thing with God of War, where I'd be like X amount of hours, a platinum trophy, and so on later.
Yeah.
And I like doing that so people know, like, here's a completionist standpoint. Even if
here's a standpoint after day one patches where they add microtransactions.
Yep. Indeed. Next and last on our list is some strange additions that are coming to the Switch, and we simply need to talk about this because... Man, I feel like the Nintendo platform, they view it as a second life, but almost to a very strange extent. So the latest additions to the Nintendo Switch third-party library are now a confirmed Darksiders War Master Edition, just the first Darksiders, okay, mind you. And then rumors and trademarks have surfaced about Assassin's Creed 3 coming to the Switch, which to me is just... I love AC3. I say it all the time that once you get to the part where you're an assassin in AC3, I think it's easily one of my favorite AC titles. But still, out of all the AC games that you could pull, this is the strangest one to me. And I don't know if it's because there was an AC3 Liberation that was available on Vita.
Yeah.
But I wonder why for both Ubisoft and THQ Nordic, these are the games they choose to be like, let's get these on the Switch. Because, for example, Darksiders 3, I didn't think that was so graphically demanding that couldn't have gotten a Switch release, right? I thought that was when I first saw a Second Life for on the Switch where it would find a home. I felt that game would be great for the Switch. It was very much opportunity to pick up and play. Looked good enough for a Switch, not amazing on consoles though. But I feel like technical things are holding it back because even on the PS4, that game had 1,000,001 load screens. That game bothered me, but I know you liked it more than me. So what do you think about Darksiders and AC3?
I still gave it a wait. Like I definitely had issues.
Saying mine was, I think, an outright pass. I was just like,
I
was like, no, like not till like bargain bin style type of shit.
Right. Yeah, no, I would say it is weird that it's 3 also because this is just in my brain, Maddie, so you can correct me. It feels like 3 is more technically demanding than like even Black Flag, because Black Flag, yes, you're seeing an ocean battle, but you're going to have those in 3. And
3's got the ocean, it's
3's got everything.
It's got the world.
The fucking forest, the original place, being on the boat and when you first travel, at least you're still going to be seeing those. But it just feels to me like 3 is the most technically. I could be wrong. It just feels like. And yeah, it's, you're the one who told me because I actually had not heard this. And to me, it's a very odd choice. A good one because I think people want to play it. That's going to be so many fucking hours of gameplay. Like if somebody wants to play 3, Jesus, put away like 3 weeks of your life because that game is big. So
especially
there's that
Homestead.
too.
Homestead adds a lot of content.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
because I always talk about how maybe I like Assassin's Creed 3 more because I have great memories of it. But I remember there was a period of time I had nothing to play, and this was before
you were
really
reviewing
started,
too.
Reviewing, yeah. So
yeah.
I was like, all right, I'll go back to Assassin's Creed 3, and I just put like another 30 hours into just doing straight Homestead stuff and seeing that build. It was a part I had not touched at all, and I'd already beat the story, done side missions, and a lot of collectibles. And I find this whole new part of the game plus the ship combat, and I was like, wow, this is like a brand new game to me again. Like, there's so many layers to that experience. I agree that I don't know how they would squeeze that all onto the Switch, even if it's an older game from like, what, 2010? 2009?
Definitely many years because I mean Black Flag was after that, Rogue,
I thought
Syndicate.
Rogue, if any Assassin's Creed, I feel like that would be the one that out of any AC title, I feel that's the most Second Life deserving. Because it's very different. It has that title almost like Assassin's Creed Rogue where it looks like almost a side game that got sent to the Switch. What would be interesting is if this Assassin's Creed 3 announcement also came with Liberation, though, which was a Assassin's Creed game, I think, set in... Was it France?
It was,
Yeah.
because I reviewed that because it came later
Really?
on the PS3. There was Liberation and the other one. Liberation is the girl protagonist,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yes. So that got an HD remake, I think, on the 360, and I actually somewhat enjoyed it on the 360. So, to me, like, first of all, I think Rogue is the best choice, also because it's truncated a bit. Black Flag
Right.
got a little ballooned in its content, where Rogue was like, yeah, we have ocean battles, but the story is only about. It's much shorter, I feel, than the others. But you can still do those other things if you want. And I just feel like it's a great contained story that got missed because the 360 version came out. They didn't do an Xbox One or PS4 version for 4 years. They did a PC version.
Now you mentioned that,
it's such a waste.
So weird too, because
Yeah.
that was when Ubisoft did review copies after launch, and there was a huge backlash on that, which I'm surprised we don't see too often nowadays, where day and date copies are much more prevalent. But Ubisoft, remember, they were like, I think they were giving out review codes. Maybe it was because it was just the press too, but they were giving out review codes. I think the day after for Rogue, and Rogue ended up being good. I mean, Unity was buggy, but Unity got a lot of the focus, and Rogue just flew right under the radar.
It did.
No one really paid attention
360 and PC only, and it was the release dates for the PS4 and Xbox One came right at that time, and so Ubisoft was like, "Oh, we're just doing the original version." And it's like, well, you got a PC version, and these new consoles are basically PCs. Right. Would have been nice to have seen that. Now they've done an HD remake or remaster for it, but yeah, man, like that would be so great because people just slept on Rogue, dude. People don't realize. Perfect name, by the way. I mean, Unity, I get the reason why the name. Syndicate, I get it. Odyssey, it is an Odyssey. Origins, I get it. Yeah, but for some reason, Rogue, once I played it, I was like, oh, of course. Like, everything about this fucking fits for the story, not ruining it for anybody. It's such a good tale. 3 is really good, too. I had some issues with 3 when it first came out, technically. But, and I think being on the Switch, dude, it's a second life. Switch is getting weird games. They're just, they're odd. I mean, if you had told me any other Assassin's Creed, I would have actually believed that, even in some strange reason, Origins or Odyssey.
I don't get it because, like, usually Ubisoft's go-to re-release cash cow is the Ezio trilogy.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
To step away from that, to me, is so strange. Not that I don't like it, because I love Ezio, but like we've had so much of him. Maybe that's why they chose to do it. But also, if you're a company,
maybe
Second Life, Switch, just people rebuy the same game twice because it's on the Switch. I'm guilty of it. I bought Dragon Ball FighterZ, even though I have it on the PS4 with all the DLC. I fucking bought it on launch day again on my Switch just because I like having that option on the go. And some people want that, and I get it. It's just like, from a Ubisoft standpoint, wouldn't you get more people buying into that if they're like, wow, I could have Ezio on my PS4, or I could have Ezio in bed and on the car rides. You know, like, that's the thing. I feel like that would appeal to more people. That and Rogue. I feel Rogue actually would have been the better choice, personally. But I'm not a salesman.
I mean, they're also, I would assume, they absolutely went and looked and decided graphically, which one they can do. And 3 was... a long time ago. So was Rogue. So it makes sense that like Origins and Odyssey aren't done. Also, 3 hasn't been done as much as the others. So it is possible that they're trying to hit it. Remember, if you bought Odyssey Special Edition, you got the remake of... So if you buy Odyssey Special Edition, you get one of the remakes. It might be 3. It might be 3. So maybe, So my opinion is that's mostly how this came up. Is they were like, let's do a release on all, and that's totally fine. Let's do a release on all systems. I just feel that the Switch is a perfect place for these because I don't think a lot of people expected that. I mean, really, an Assassin's Creed game on the Switch, you start to question how it's going to look. 30 FPS, obviously locked, but if they can get that running well, that's going to unlock a whole. Dude, what if they said Watch Dogs 2 or something? I'm not a fan of the Watch Dogs games nearly as much as everybody else, but those are huge fucking.
Pretty good.
I thought it was better. I thought it was better than I expected. I just didn't like it as much as everybody else. But imagine if they said Watch Dogs 1 and 2 were on the Switch. Like, that makes the Switch this place where you can say, okay, I can plug it in, and I can play the games other people are playing, or I can take it on the go, which just isn't done. Like, no other system has a go system, right? Like, it's so awesome to be all, yeah, I'm playing these. So I feel like Ubisoft might also be testing the water in a pretty big way and going like, what can work on this? What can work technically, and what are people interested in? Because if people show interest in 3, then there's interest in Rogue. And there's and like you said, maybe it's because Ezio's done so much that they're like, let's do the side ones.
Also, the idea that, okay, they remastered 3. I don't know much about the code that would be involved in taking that and putting it on Switch. But if you already have a game remastered, how much effort does it take to move that already finished product to another console instead of trying to figure out how to get Rogue or the Ezio trilogy on the Switch? I feel like a lot of the work was already done. Okay, just release it on Switch. It's going to increase our bottom line no matter what.
Well, I forgot. So here's the games, dude. We forgot one, Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry, which was Xbox 360, Xbox One, and PS4. There's another one. Liberation. Revelations is another one that I don't think we've ever seen a Revelation. No, we did. It looks like Revelations did get in 2011 an Xbox One and PS4.
I think
maybe I did a review for that
trilogy. Revelations.
Yeah, Revelations 2011. So it may have. But you have Liberation, which got released and didn't really do insanely well because it was on the older systems. That would be a great one. Yeah, it's pretty crazy how many titles fit the Switch once you told me 3 was going to be on there. I started looking and I was like, oh, fuck.
There's actually a Twitter account dedicated to, I think it's called Should Be on Switch. And it just every day posts a random game with like its old cover art, and it has it on a Switch case, and it says this should be on Switch. And like they did SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, they're like that should be on Switch. Every day they do something new, and it's funny. Like it's not a huge followed account. Just one of my friends follows it, so sometimes it pops up on my Twitter feed, and I saw it. I was like, this is so true. This is literally me incarnate in a Twitter account, because I always think of that. Oh, this would be great on Switch. Like I love this on my PS4, but fuck, I'd love it on my Switch.
There's a lot of games, right? And that's what you were talking about. Is like there's a lot of games out there, Oxenfree, like I said, I fucking adored on the Xbox One. Having it on a Switch is phenomenal. I think Switch is knocking it out of the park. If you had asked me 2 years ago, dude, even when Lone was on the podcast a year ago, we were still pretty stunned. But it's like I'm continually stunned.
There was a video I remember making. I always bring it up because I will eventually, if I'm proved wrong, I will make the video. But it was like, Nintendo predicts the Switch going to sell like 40 million in, I think, 4 years or something like that. And I made a whole video talking about it. I was like, it's like, yeah, they're crazy if they think that's actually going to happen. No shot.
Right.
And they're getting there.
Yeah.
I think they're at like 27 million units shipped. I'm like, oh, fuck me, man. Like they not only they're going to prove me wrong, but like by a lot.
Yeah. Didn't they sell the most this year?
Yeah.
Too? Yep. Wasn't it this year by a long shot?
Did you see the attachment rate of some of the games that came out? Smash Bros. Already has 12 million copies sold. What?
Yep.
That's insane. Yep.
And what's weird is
fucking insane.
This is why gaming, as it gets bigger, is so insane as a entertainment form, because Xbox's attachment rate is fucking insane as well. And it's like, so no matter what system somebody has now, PS4, Xbox, or Switch, the attachment rate, which for people who don't know is how many games when somebody it's sort of like when somebody buys a game or a system, how many of these games is attached to it. And like in the past, it'd be 3 to 1. So for every system, 3 games were sold. Then like 360 was at 6 or 7. And it's like Xbox is like at 12 or something, but digital, of course, for a lot of that.
Right.
But that's fucking awesome, man. I mean, to me, it bodes well for Nintendo. I think Nintendo, in a weird way, is getting a second life. I really do believe that. The Switch could have died, dude. The Switch, it was having issues with games coming out. We were like, where are I remember sitting here with you and going, there's only one big exclusive, for the Switch now this year.
It's because they were very smart. While Breath of the Wild was like the headliner title, I feel they had a good start and a good finish. For that launch year, where you had your Breath of the Wild, then you had Mario Odyssey to look forward to, but they were smart.
Rabbids.
Every month After that,
Yeah.
up until Odyssey, there was another new exclusive coming out, and they gradually built a library. Even if it was something little like ARMS or a re-release like in May, Mario Kart Odyssey, Jesus Christ, 8 Deluxe, which is actually the highest selling game on the Switch now, which turned out to not be something small. Like each
interesting.
one of those games did something for that console, and over time what it did was, if you were buying a Switch come fall when Odyssey was bringing more attention to it, people were looking at the library of games that just came out within the last year, and they were like, well, fuck, if they do like half of that next year, I'm already getting my money's worth. Because Nintendo just was smart with saying, we have to keep exclusives coming out, because that was the Wii U's biggest issue, in my opinion, was not third-party support, but they'd have exclusives, but they were so few and far between that it didn't justify getting my foot in the door on the console. But when the Switch came out, and I had 8 games by the end of the year, each of them I liked quite a bit, outside of, I'd say, Pokken Tournament. I thought that game was I felt like my console purchase was already justified, knowing there was more coming, and then you see third-party support coming in. I think that's why I was so confused when people said in 2018 the Switch was going to go back downhill. I was like, how? People were like, Switch isn't,
right.
The Smash Bros. Isn't going to sell more Switches, and neither will Pokemon Remake. Pokemon hit 10 million. Smash Bros. Sold 12 million in a month. I don't know what... I told you, I had to find my source on that, because I read so many people like saying, Switch is not going to track that well this year. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
For me, it all switched with Rabbids, too.
Yeah, Rabbids.
I still remember, dude, when we were all sitting here,
really saying like, I love the Switch.
Because you and Lone were talking about your Switches all the time. And I was like, meh, whatever. Like, it's not. And then Skyrim, I was also very impressed with. But whatever it was about Rabbids just made me go like, what the fuck? Like, that shows a lot of attention to detail, a lot of an ideal of doing something different, and then suddenly you have them just nailing it with game after game. It's dude, it's LA Noire. Of all the games, I like that version the best. Like, what the how did that ever fucking happen? I did a walk in the walk on the PC, and I'm like, I'll never play it again. And Takedown would not shut the fuck up. He's the guy who came on, for anybody who's wondering, he came on a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, he wouldn't shut up about it. And that's the thing, is that is what I'm wondering. Will Assassin's Creed 3 on the Switch be my favorite version of Assassin's Creed 3? And that's what's been happening with a lot. Oxenfree, same thing. My favorite version is the Switch version. So it's like, and then that's ignoring the big titles, the Smash Brothers, which brings in everybody, old fans and casuals. It's awesome, man. Yeah. Like, I would never have thought this was going to happen 2 years ago.
It's going to do it just as well, because you got the new generation Pokemon game coming out. And
you cut out for a second.
Oh, I
think your mic might be just a little too far away.
How's this?
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's not clipping for anybody else. It may just be Discord.
No, it's all good. I said that I feel this year they're going to do just as well, because you have the new generation Pokemon game, which people are stoked for. You have Animal Crossing. You have Smash DLC, which with that attachment rate DLC is going to be like fucking selling a whole other game again. When you see Joker come out, people are going to buy the Fighter Pass when they see the next announcement after that, probably. There's definitely going to be a Metroid Prime trilogy, which is going to move systems. I don't know how many, because I know Metroid's popular, but I don't know if it's just like a Nintendo community thing, or is it like a Pokemon thing where like the whole world loves Pokemon. Like and that's just partially me not knowing a lot. So, but like, I mean, there's still so much great stuff to come, and we're seeing third-party support like Mortal Kombat, which I think got delayed, but we're also seeing Doom Eternal. And now we're seeing little surprises like this. Like, it's in a really good spot, and each year it only gets better. And now we're also hearing rumors of a Nintendo Switch Mini coming out this year.
I gotta say, man, I don't know about you, but like, I don't want it to be smaller. But that's just because I have man hands. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I mean, how much smaller? Do you want a smaller one? You know,
I love the size of the Switch. But here's the thing, though. Because I remember when I made a video about the Switch, when it first came out, I was like, here's why the system's for me. And a couple people were like, you're overhyping it. And now to them, I say, kiss my ass. But there were people who were like, well, how could you fit the whole thing in your pocket? I wear these types of pants called drop skinnies. So they have very, like, baggy waist. We'll say baggy, but I think there's a better word to describe. But it's very roomy around the waist and hips. but it gets tighter down your legs.
Uh-huh.
So because of that room in your waist, your pockets are fucking huge. So when I'm telling people in the video, I'm like, I could drop my Switch in my pocket anytime. A lot of folks are like, well, what are you talking about? But now I think for those same folks, if a Switch Mini comes out, we'll call it, that might be good for them because they can put it in their pocket and take them wherever. The issue, though, is that the Switch, when people started taking it places, there were screens cracking from heat or being
joysticks,
too cold. Yeah, joysticks.
Being fucked up,
I think it was the left Joy-Con for a lot of folks. My Joy-Con's only slightly fucked up now because I dropped my system one time. That's all it took. I dropped it on carpet.
Oh, really?
One time, and the Joy-Con like forcibly got ripped out. And one time I was playing, it looked connected, and then I had to press, and it like, even though it looked in place, it clicked ever so slightly, and it started working. So, you know, the system's fragile. I think a lot of folks would be ready for a Mini at this point because it's been long enough. I think with a lot of new releases coming out and already a huge library behind them, folks might take a look at what I imagine if this is a Mini, it's going to be a discounted version. So, I can get Smash and this Mini version for $250, we'll say. I think I'm being generous, but we'll go with $250. Okay, yeah. Instead of paying $350 for the docked Switch, this one you can only play handheld. And instead, let's say the Mini is portable only, comes with a charger, and that's it.
I don't have mine with me. I'm just trying to figure out. I mean, you could obviously get it as close as your back fingers would touch if you really wanted to make it smaller. I'm just trying to think.
I think it would go from you holding like this, how my fingers are, to kind of like this.
How big is the screen on the Switch? Do you know? Is that a 7 or a 9?
I'm looking at it right now.
Or is it a 5.1?
I'd say 7.
Okay,
I'm and you're going off of just looking at it right now.
And you're thinking, not docked, not dockable.
I have not
shave some money off.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the goal would probably be make this handheld only, give them a charger, not a dock.
Right.
Compress the whole thing. I don't know if it would be decreased performance or not, but maybe extended battery life, something like that. By somehow doing that, shave some money off of it, make some package deals, and you've got yourself another way to sell the system. Because that's
how
what
much
Nintendo
is the Switch?
Because think of how many versions they did of the
true.
Of the DS. There was like the DS Lite, the new DS. It's like I hope they don't go that crazy with it, but
DS wasn't there big DS XL
yeah,
or something?
XL, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How much is the Switch now?
When I bought one for my girlfriend for Christmas, it was $300, and that was during Black Friday, or
I will
Cyber
say this.
Monday. So it was $50 off at that time.
I will say this, I feel like they should get that price for the main one down too, regardless of anything else. I do feel that when somebody sees $350, they're like, I have a cell phone. I'm not saying there's overlap, but I'm saying somebody's already, I have a cell phone, so it's like it needs to be cheaper for me to make that purchase. I would love for them to be at like $200, $250 at least, so that, you know, imagine if they figured out a way to give you a dockless one. I don't know if Nintendo really is worried about savings, but if they did and it was $199, you know, $299 for the big one, and then over time $150 and $250, it'd be pretty fucking amazing price point.
Yeah, overall, I mean, we saw the Xbox One Slim selling for $200, I think, or $170 during like Black Friday or something. Yeah. It was like ridiculously cheap. So I feel like, yeah, the Switch is still kind of shiny new. There's still a lot of people coming in. So I feel like what we'll probably see is the main Switch go to $300, and this new version of the Switch probably sit around the $220 to $250 area. If I'm guessing, you know, I'm just going based off like what I saw with the PS4 to the PS4 Pro, where the base version, same thing with the Xbox One to the Xbox One Slim and Scorpio, like there was a change in pricing, but it wasn't super drastic. So I feel like Nintendo is not known for their sales. You know, for example,
that's what I was thinking too.
Their eShop, in my opinion, is not like, it needs work, not in the terms of discoverability, but
savings price point for digital, right?
Exactly, because PlayStation Store is always doing great sales. I think they rival the Steam sales at this point. I really do, and I never thought I'd say that, but they do enough sales and theme sales, and I feel like I'm getting great deals, and I look up the physical price versus what's available on store, and I go, you know what? I'm saving a lot of money here. I'm going to buy this game. I just don't see that on a Nintendo platform, and I'd love to see more themed sales and more sales in general from them. Not just as a consumer, but I feel like it's smart business to like, okay, let's cut some stock down, get some units out there. We'll make up the difference with games.
And especially, Maddie, digital, it's not costing anybody anything. So they could sell it for $1. And if it's a non-selling game, one that's not selling, they're making $1 per sale. Like, there's nothing going on. They're just serving the bandwidth and giving somebody the game. So it's like, it would be awesome to see the digital sales start to increase on the Nintendo stuff in particular, even though sometimes I think they don't do that because they're worried about space on the system. Right. I swear to God, sometimes it feels like they're connected, where they're all, we don't want people bitching about the sale or about the, how much memory you have internally, or how big your memory card can be. So we're not going to do that drop in price. But I don't remember, did they drop the Wii and the Wii U?
Can't say I played those enough to.
Yeah, and I don't remember.
We were talking about last week how I didn't really touch much Nintendo consoles until from between the GameCube till now. I admire the people who are on YouTube who were very loyal to Nintendo during the Wii U phase, where no one really watched them, and now with the Switch exploding, their channels in turn have exploded because of their, I guess you could say, loyalty to the product that they create. But yeah, man, I definitely was not one of those people. Like my Wii U, I got it for Christmas because I wanted to play Bayonetta and Smash. I wanted to play Wind Waker. I did not like Wind Waker. I loved Bayonetta 2, loved Smash, and that was kind of the end of the story for me and my Wii U.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But that's all we've got for this week's Ham Radio Podcast. We hope all of you enjoyed. Karak, thank you for joining me on yet another wonderful episode. And we will catch all of you next week on episode 189. We're creeping up on 200. It's going to happen soon.
Indeed.
Peace out.
Peace out.